The first Nissan GTR was released in 1969. The man behind the existence of the GTR is Mr. Shinichiro Sakurai. He was a man of perfection and always wanted the best from all his employees. Shinichiro's son had went to see the F1 race in Europe and was inspired by it. After going back to Japan, the Prince Motor Company had put him in charge of building a race car for him. This led to the Skyline's predecessor, the Skyline 2000 GT. It won many races, but Sakurai, being a perfectionist, knew that it could be better. So in 1970, they launched the Skyline GTR. It was a 4-door sports sedan that had a detuned 2-liter straight-six engine from Prince R380 that put out 160 horsepower. That doesn't sound all that much today, but 160 horsepower was a big thing back then. In 1971, Nissan released the coupe version of the Hakosuka GTR. The coupe came with better tires and a spoiler to improve grip. In 1972, Shinichiro overhauled the GTR entirely. This GTR is referred to as the Kenmari GTR. The Kenmari GTR sort of looked like an American muscle car, but unlike an American muscle car, it would handle way much better. And in 1984, Shinichiro had fallen sick and was unable to finish the 5th gen GTR and handed the job over to the engineer named Nagamori Ito. Then in 1985, Nagamori released the Nissan Skyline R31. The GTR enthusiasts were disappointed by the R31 as it was underpowered and there wasn't even a GTR one. Hearing this, Nagamori went back to the drawing board and aimed at building the true successor of the Skyline GTR. The new GTR would be aimed at winning the Japanese touring race. This new engine would be turbocharged and would have a larger stroke than a previous RB25. And the new engine is the legendary RB26 DETT. Nagamori and his team dubbed in the new engine in an all-new body with a new chassis and an all-new drivetrain. All of this led to the legendary GTR R32. But Nissan wanted to do better. The GTR team was now led by Kozo Watsunabe. He built the R33, and while testing the R33 around the Nürburgring, the engineer from the GTR team wanted to weld race bars underneath the car to improve its suspension and thereby improving its handling. The R33 is also much more aerodynamic in comparison to the R32. The R33 had a much more sophisticated all-wheel drive system that could provide grip to any wheel at any given moment. But people wanted something more, and so Watsunabe gave them what they wanted, and it was called the legendary GTR R34. The R34 was way more imposing in comparison to the R33. It had angular cuts and muscular fender flares. The small divots around the fender directed air around the front wheels, pulling warm air from the engine bay and cooling down the brakes. The GTR was offered in many variants. They were the V-Spec, V-Spec N1, V-Spec 2, V-Spec 2 NER, V-Spec 2 N1, M-Spec and the M-Spec NER. It was in 2007 when Nissan released the GTR R35. It was no longer powered by the RB26, but instead it now has the VR38 DETT, which has an all-aluminum twin turbocharged V6 engine. The VR38 DETT made 480 horsepower. But GTR wasn't all about the power. It was meant for cornering.